Lenk. How are you enjoying our fair city of Pittsburgh?
I'm enjoying it immensely. I've never been here before.
Where's home right now for you?
I live in Los Angeles.
Here at the Pittsburgh Public, certainly no stranger to the stage, Rock of Ages on Broadway, and Wikipedia tells me...
Could be wrong, just let me know.
Wikipedia tells me that
Some
you are...
crazer
That's right, because...
in a land far away
You can...
makes up stuff.
Anybody can do that, right?
Yeah, they can.
Maybe
it was me, I don't know.
Do you edit your own Wikipedia?
I probably could if I actually paid attention.
Tonight.
I can't even face it. I can't even face my own Wikipedia page.
Well, there's nothing horrible. I looked at it today, and it told me that you are probably best known for your work on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I guess that could be said, yeah.
Which, of course, is the well-known PBS documentary chronicling the royal family and palace intrigue. Now, we could go on and on about that, but what do you get asked most about your work on that show?
Why am I so incredibly handsome on film?
Buyer Cellar is your current... Buyer and Cellar.
Buyer and Cellar.
Right, the and.
Spelled C-E-L-L-A-R for the radio listeners.
Now, I didn't know much about this play until recently. It kind of, without knowing what it was about, it almost sounded like it could be a David Mamet sort of thing, people on Wall Street or something. But the premise of this show is actually hilarious.
I guess it could... I could see how you could think it was sort of Mametian.
Like if you didn't know anything, like Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah.
Buy or seller.
Yeah.
Buy, sell, buy.
That's true. But
sell.
It is in fact cellar as in a basement.
Right. How do you describe this show to people?
I describe the show as a fictional account of one man's journey of working in Barbra Streisand's basement mall on her property in Malibu. Now, this is a part of this is true that Barbra Streisand does have. In fact, she has a barn, a large red barn with a mill and a working babbling brook and a stony path. Chickens, there are chickens, and there is in fact a basement underneath this facility where she turned into a street of indoor shops that look like they're outside. All of this was shown in her book called My Passion for Design. And the author of this play, Jonathan Tollins, basically created an imaginary world based off of this book and little details that she spreads throughout. And he imagined an out-of-work actor that gets a job down in her basement.
Now, does she actually employ anybody there, or that was sort of the fantasy that she
Now, the fantasy is that he comes up with an idea that, oh my gosh, what if somebody got a job down there and they had to just sit down there and wait for her?
One-man show. It is you.
We're going to say a one-woman show.
I've got Barbara on the mind.
I support that, yeah.
Whenever it's Streisand, it is a one-woman show.
It is her one-woman show. It's actually more of a one-person play. Because when you say one-man show, that just sort of brings sort of thoughts of, oh, my childhood. Oh, and then...
Mother.
Uncle Stanley jumped off the bridge. So it's not that kind of one-man show. There is one man, that is me, but it's actually a play because there's 6 or 7 different characters, and I'm playing all of them. I'm just going back and forth between Barbara and James Brolin.
So you've got to do Barbara.
So I got to do everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now my basis for comparison for Streisand performances is relegated pretty much to drag. How do you feel your Bab stands up?
Well, luckily there is a disclaimer that's in the script that that the character doesn't do impressions. I personally don't do impressions either. So we were just mentioning my friend Drew Droege, who does his impression of Chloe Sevigny, which has become very popular. It's similar to that. It's her, but it's not her at all. It's sort of my heightened, imagined, weird version of what she would be. Because I'm not, but this isn't Vegas, and I'm not putting on a wig and putting on the nails and the eyeshadow and whatnot. I'm just kind of going back and forth, just popping in and out of character.
Essence of Barbara.
Yeah, a flavor of Barbara.
But you've done a lot of research on this. Do you feel like you know this woman at this point?
Does YouTube watching count as research?
Absolutely it does in this day and age, of course. I think that is a very legitimate source.
Well, I've had a couple months to prepare, and kind of learn the lines as best I could, which ultimately is everything flies out the window once you start blocking it and really sort of learning. It's a 60-page play essentially, and about an hour and a half long. So that's really where you sort of learn it, is in the blocking and the repetition of it. But the research was mostly just me kind of absorbing her. And I would hardly call it research because it was fun to do. I didn't know that much about her. I wasn't a huge fan. Similar to the character, I appreciated her for her talents, but there's so much. There's just her. I mentioned this the other day to somebody else, but just clips of her on the Judy Garland show, and they're singing their mashup of "Get Happy" and
It's beautiful.
"Forget Your Troubles." It's beautiful, and it's incredibly awkward as well, because you can see Judy just gripping her.
Judy liked to touch people.
Yeah, like I'm holding on because hold me up, but also don't be better than me. Just stand back a little bit, let me shine. And it's funny and it's touching and it's also sad, and I think that's what this play is. It's all three of those things. You get a full range of emotions.
Now, do you think it's outrageous to have a shopping mall in your basement?
Yes. Yeah, it's wildly insane.
Now,
and if you read her book, the amount of detail, like she talks about how her antique clothes boutique, she originally had it painted something like the color of a blush rose that's like a wilting. Not just a rose, but as it was wilting and it was a
that
very
moment
specific
in time, yeah.
That moment, the bittersweet moment when it was about to die, and she ended up not liking it. She had it painted lavender instead.
Oh, after all that.
After all that, she then boom redid it.
Because a dying rose is kind of ugly.
We don't have an understudy, so you may get a call.
Done. Opening night, lights come up.
Mm-hmm.
You can unmistakably see Babs in the front row. What's the first thing that's going to go through your head?
I hope she likes the way I depict her nails, because I know her nails are very important to her.
Of all things, wow.
And the brushing of her hair. She has a very specific way she sort of uses her nails to gently graze sort of a long semi-bang fringe. If you're British, she sort of gently will move her fringe to the side. That's what I hope she appreciates.
You manifested her right here.
The transformation.
No, you channeled her. It was
I'm not
beautiful.
going to say I'm like Meryl Streep in this performance.
That's wonderful.
But,
Now, what is the most outrageous, ostentatious thing that you've indulged in that we can share with the PG audience?
I got myself a professional steamer.
Like an object or a person that steams when you say a steamer?
No, it's not it's not like Stanley's steamer, the carpet cleaner. It is it's an object, and it's called a Jiffy steamer, and it's the professional steamer that they use on film and TV sets and here in the costume shop to steam articles of clothing. Because guess what? I don't like to iron, and ever since I got my Jiffy steamer, I haven't touched an iron, and it's been heaven. And there's something deeply satisfying about steaming wrinkles out of something, and you can just turn it on. You come back a couple minutes later, and it's bubbling, and the steam's coming out, and you can just the wrinkles go away.
It's a bit of a metaphor for life in a way.
What's the metaphor?
Well, don't we all, especially in the sordid business of show, spend a great deal of time working out the wrinkles, both physically and emotionally?
How dare you? How very dare you? I'm channeling, constantly channeling.
I can feel it. You didn't get an action figure out of this, and there are those that have.
No, I did not. I mean, occasionally some people I think have made me out of Sculpey clay. Sort of like plastic clay that you can bake in an oven.
Yeah,
I myself made a B. Arthur Christmas ornament out of Sculpey clay.
That's
last
wonderful.
Year. That's where my passions lie. I don't have time for, for haute couture outfits. And, when I went to the Oscars, I took some old scarves I had and I had them made into a blouse and I put a old black jacket over it. And that's what I wore because who has time to go to all these fittings? My priorities lie in other places these days. She doesn't say what the priorities are or how she spends the rest of her time. As far as I know, it's just kind of hanging out and just relaxing.
Money is like manure.
Oh.
No good unless you spread it around, encouraging things to grow. Isn't that how it went?
You did not let on that you were like a real hardcore, but that you are definitely
not. That was a
that
misfire.
Was an admission. That was an admission because I haven't even watched that clip yet.
What if I show up as Barbra Streisand? Would that throw you?
I mean, I'm already sort of expecting that there will be a few. Now you made it weird.
I did. This is terribly awkward. Thank God for booze.